So let's talk about some of the promotion planning and simulation capabilities or the seeded business process we have today for your presentation. Now again, I want to give a disclaimer here that every client has its own business process, as you would know, whether it is demand management, whether it is promotions planning and things like that. So even your promotions planning is actually also seeded package from Demantra, has been curtailed to the specific needs of Energizer Holding. So what we're going to talk about is I have in these slides, I have captured a very typical process that is being that happens. By the way, these slides are prepared with the essentially from one of the past clients of Oracle. And then, so basically, essentially, it is talking about what promotion planning provides from its collaborator workbench interface. So a typical way of there are three approaches. So one dimension to the application is the volume tracking. Volume tracking by means is how much is the incremental volume in terms of units, how much is my base forecast, how much are your other stakeholder inputs to these, how much is the engine output on these two inputs, and finally, based on your stakeholder inputs, how do you finalize your final forecast? Like, you know, in some organizations, marketing is powerful than sales. So what happens is sales puts their numbers, marketing puts their number next, and we have defined in a system a hierarchy that if a sale and a marketing number both is available for a given item location combination, I can define my final forecast series expression in such a way that only marketing number is taken up when both are provided. When marketing number is not provided, then whatever sales has provided that number, please take that number. So that kind of a flexible hierarchy within to finalize your forecast is also basically configured in the Demantra system through data series expression. However, there could be several different scenarios, like based on the business process of a particular client, that how do they want to approach and arrive at a consensus forecast number. So important thing to note is in PTP that engine generates two outputs instead of one, which is the base forecast and the incremental forecast. So these two forecasts are actually different for as you can see from the base forecast is what would be my base sale number and what would be my incremental number, assuming promotion X is being run. However, your Demantra demand management has only one output, or which is only the base forecast only. It does not have the incremental forecast component. So in this particular slide, I am reflecting a typical promotion planning process run by a company which tracks their volume tracking. So volume tracking is all about tracking both these outputs or both these key outputs of a trade planning system, which is the base forecast and the incremental forecast. Within the planning environment and the evaluation planning environment, I do have just one worksheet here which corresponds to my trade promotion metrics, like what metrics I want to choose to ensure, you know, my trade promotions are on track while they are executing, or on all closed promotions I can do a better analysis with the help of these KPIs. So this is a worksheet at that client site where we have developed that, you know, what do I mean by typical volume tracking. So again, so these are certain series that you see in this columnar form. You have a time dimension here, and you have a retailer dimension at a page level having list of values. And these are certain series which are created to track the volume, both in the base and incremental. The below graph is essentially prepared to see what is my base and what is my incremental. And I think the middle graph is all about comparing certain elements of your base forecast and your previous cycle base forecast and stuff like that. So again, I'm sure Energizer Holding would have their own worksheets to actually track volume tracking and fund tracking. So typically when we talk about in terms of units and money, so units is volume tracking and money is your fund tracking with respect to DPM. This is again another version of it. And then this is my planning environment where, you know, I have listed a promotion group. So in this particular customer scenario, a promotion rolls to a promotion group. And promotion level is what is depicted in a level series, which is called promotion ID. So with the help of a promotion ID, I am actually pinpointing an actual promotion. So every row in this table you see is actually a promotion. It has its own status, whether it is closed, open, things like that. It has its own tactics, whether it is off invoice or feature or add or display. It has its own start date and end date. There are list prices associated with this item that we are trying to promote. Then there are different kind of prices: list price, shelf price, sales price. And then we have the stat output engine in two things that we have told, which is base forecast and incremental forecast, and any overrides that your stakeholders might have provided, and the final total volume, which is sum of the base forecast and the incremental forecast. So this is again coming from one of the customers. Every client has their own planning environment in terms of how they want to plan their event, how they want to plan their spend, which is the event spend money. Like, you know, it would have your, you know, all your total event money. So certain kind of promotion tactics, like, you know, having lump sum market development fund given to a retailer to promote a particular SKU or a product line, and then, you know, those are then captured to actually evaluate that what is your total return of investment on such promotional tactics driven promotions. Again, this is a typical planning cycle from that particular customer. One of that, our customer happens to use Oracle Trade Management for, just like you are using SAP as one of the SAP's application to create certain pre-approved promotions like off invoicing, promotional tactic promotions. So we have Oracle Trade Management application, or even maybe an Excel file would be enough to do that kind of budgetary allocations. It's again a kind of a top-down approach, and then you interface that up back into Demantra and do a bottoms-up approach within the Demantra worksheet. That how, you know, is it reconciling or not, followed by, again, these steps are parallel. While executing a promotion, you may receive certain settlements claims while the promotion is open and till it gets closed. So this is a DSM comes into picture, where again in this particular scenario for this customer, we were managing all the settlements and claims through the trade management application itself and not kicked in the Demantra DSM application. However, the process would remain the same. Even so, in your process, it would be a Demantra DSM system here, and promotions and execution monitoring involves interfacing the real-time data that has been generated on a promotion, whether it is how much is the actual forecast, actual shipment against your base forecast and your incremental forecast. Is it underperforming? Is it overperforming? Is it performing 100% as expected? So this is all about promotion monitoring and while it is being executed. And finally, you have your post-event analysis, which have several of promotion KPIs. So that is our next topic. What kind of promotional KPIs? Again, I have used this client example that what they had used to evaluate their promotion. So that's the next topic we're going to talk about now. And this is a very typical flow, again at this customer, that they actually had their demand management as well as sales and PTP, both modules were enabled. So demand management used to generate basically base forecast, and then PTP used to generate again another version of base and incremental forecast, which is then fed to different stakeholders in the department. Typically, sales would be in this particular customer was updating their incremental forecast and base forecast, and then developing a total sales number. Similarly, there is some of the demand planning team which was overriding the base forecast generated from demand management, and they are finally responsible to reconcile their sales forecast number and their number to achieve a final forecast. So this is not drawn on rock that this is going to be procedure. In any typical company, we may have several versions of this flow to arrive at the final forecast. The net goal and aim is to arrive at a final forecast for our manufacturer, so that they can give this final number to their operations team, supply planning team, so that they can run an MRP on that and make sure that we have enough service levels on those orders and forecast related scenarios that we cater to our customers.